to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Parmelia Parham. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute, and we are delighted to have you with us today. The Healing Institute is an online worldwide hub of holistic practitioners, and we're here for you. If you're looking for alternative ways to be well and stay well on your health journey, then you can connect with our amazing holistic practitioners. Everyone has a complimentary session, so there's no need to make a financial decision right away. You can have a conversation with them and decide how you want to work with them. Now, I created the Healing Institute because I'm passionate about educating people around health and wellness. I've been using alternative ways to be well and stay well for over 20 years, and I know they work. So I wanted to bring that to the world. And the reason I wanted to do that is because we had a tragedy in our family a number of years ago where my mom passed away at a very young age. She was only 61. And it was due to complications of a medication that she had been on for a very long time. And of course, no one ever told her, not her doctor, and we didn't have Dr. Google back then, so she wasn't able to find out what the side effects would be. And being on this medication for a long time, the side effect was that it compromised her kidneys. So unfortunately, she passed away on December 15th, right before Christmas. And also, I was 5 months pregnant with my son. So he's my first child. And so not only was it a tragedy that she died at a young age, but my children didn't get to meet their grandmother. And I really don't want that happening for anybody else. So we are inviting every week. I invite a guest to be a guest co-host on the Heal the World Show podcast. And I am so delighted to have Sharon Caron with us today and talking about this subject I love, Akashic Records, Akashic Reading. So welcome, Sharon. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Pramila. So it's wonderful to be here with you and all of your fans. Yes, well, I've been a mystic at heart since birth, and then I found my Akashic work, and I've been doing that for over 30 years, and so I feel so blessed. Not only how it's changed my life, but how I can really help others to live the life that they would love living. I live in Pacifica, California.
Beautiful.
And with my husband, Dave, he's a musician. And yeah, we love our little Pacifica on the Highway 1, the ocean.
I can relate to that because I live on Vancouver Island and we really love our little Vancouver Island. Not that it's little, it's quite big, but for some of our audience that maybe don't know exactly what Akashic records are, could you give a definition of that or explanation?
Yes. So the Akashic records, Akashic records are past, present, and future. What's in the record for each one of us. And I'd like for you to think about it like a big computer in the sky. So it's everything in the other dimension. So we are all part of the other dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people, that's kind of can be difficult for people to get their mind around being in the physical. But we've all come from the same place. We're all connected, all is one. And back in the day, in the Old Testament, the Akashic records, it was called the Book of Life.
Okay.
So if you ever hear that, the Book of Life.
I have heard that term. I didn't quite understand that it was the Akashic records. So thank you for that explanation, for sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So it's everything's connected, everything's one. We are one with everything. We're a soul first. Our soul sparked in the other dimension, and that's who we are. And then when we get ready and we want to go to Earth School,
I love that you call it that, Earth School. Yes, it's so true.
And Earth isn't for sissies.
No.
Earth is the hard place. And I have people telling me, I would have never signed up for that. I would have never signed. I said, well, let me tell you, we all signed up for it, or we wouldn't be on here on Earth if we didn't.
In our physicality, in our physical form.
Exactly. Yes. So we're spirits first having a human experience in Earth School. And and it's not for sissies. We all know what our life is like, and it just goes from, one place to another with people. And just to understand that that's really the good news.
Yes.
The good
And
news is
love the concept of Earth School, because one of my ahas when I was first studying with my energy teacher, which is now well over 25 years ago, I didn't have the language. I had intuition, which I didn't even know the name for that. So I was very knowing. I was always kind of predicting things that were going to happen. I think it's called not clairvoyant, but clairsentient, or I think that's the Claire that I am. And so I was,
out of the four clairs.
yeah, I was always felt a little odd, like I didn't quite fit, because I could kind of, I knew I was here, I'd been here before. And so when I was thinking about, okay, well then, what is my life purpose? And then my aha when I first started teaching or studying with my energy teacher was that everything that I had attracted, I was attracting it for a reason. And at the time I was studying with her, I was in a not a very good place. I was in a very toxic relationship. And I was like, okay, well then what does that mean? So knowing that I'd attracted it myself, so first of all, no blame to anybody else, just take on that responsibility and then ask the question, why? Why has this shown up in my life? Obviously, to teach me a lesson of some kind. And just that beginning of learning and understanding how that all worked led me to where I am now. I had no idea that I was going to have an online hub of holistic practitioners. I had no idea that I was going to be studying health and wellness, and that I was going to be providing people with modalities so that they could be as healthy as possible. So we have a comment here from Marie. She said that she finds that very interesting. She didn't know that it was the book of life and the meaning that is really about being one. And it feels like school. She says, so Earth School makes sense. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes. And that's really the beauty of it. We're all we're all one, and we're all part of everything.
Yes.
So when we can really, in the physical, put one foot in the other dimension and start to bring the two together, because it's not separate. We've got four bodies. We have the spirit body, the physical body, the mental the mental body's last, the emotional body, and then the mental body. So we all have all of that. Again, it's seeing how everything fits together and it's not separate. And sometimes that can be a difficult concept for people, wanting it to be this or that when it's all.
Well, and it's also somewhat calming, and to think that we are all together. So I know there's a lot of talk, and there's a lot of information out in the media right now around how everybody's feeling separate. People are feeling they're feeling lonely. They're feeling like they don't belong. But when we think about, well, we belong to everybody. Everybody belongs. We are a community of people that to support and help each other.
Of souls. Yeah, we're a
Yeah.
community of souls.
Total community of souls. Yes.
Oh, yes, totally. And that really is the beauty of it. And then working with the Akashic records, what the best part of that is, like when I'm working with a client, and I get to tell them where their soul sparked.
Mhm.
I get to tell them, the things that they came in to do, and then I'm not telling them anything they don't already know, because it's already theirs. But what you said earlier is about the the way that we put it together and really understand that we are all one.
Yeah, and
And
I think it's beautiful that we may intuitively know, or we may think that we know. Just like, as a young child, I knew I'd been here before, but it wasn't
Mhm.
until I started studying with my teacher, and I was like in my 50s by then, um, that she talked, there was everybody that I met at the first workshop I went to was all believed in past lifetimes. And I'm like, oh, okay. I found my people. I found my tribe. Okay, I'm not an oddball. you know. And so for you as the guide, I would say, for you to explain that in words, and sort of for our conscious brain to take it in, that must be just wonderful for people, for your clients that you work with.
Well, everything's a system. And as soon as it's like maybe the best kept secret, not on purpose, but it's taken years, over 30
Mhm.
years, like you said, that
Mhm.
we've been working with this. And it's getting more familiar and more familiar. And there's more and more people that are now opening up to realizing that Earth isn't separate.
Yes, absolutely,
Which,
absolutely.
yeah,
And
which
I've had some amazing Akashic readings where things made more sense after I had the reading. I was asking questions, and
Mhm.
so just by the person that was doing the reading at the time, by them explaining what I innately already knew, but them actually helping put words to it, that really helped me.
Yes, and figuring out the system,
Mhm.
because the system works famously. It's quantum physics.
Love
It's
quantum physics.
it's
Yes.
it's it's everything. So everything in the other dimension, it's all of that. So just by understanding that it's not separate, and understanding how everything comes together, I love to talk to people and go through, like the first sheet of information, where it's like, this is what your soul wants you to know right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what I'm able to do. And then I watch them, by the time we work together, their whole face changes, their whole beingness changes
Yeah.
when they start really embracing who they already are. And it's so fun to tell them, well, you're a soul group and you're from here or there or whatever. And they're just like, and how much, I think how expansive that feels.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's the only reason that it's important for us to know. Like I said, the system works famously when we understand how it works. It's not going to work your way. It's not going to work my way. It's going to work the way of the system.
Yes. And the way it was laid down to work
Ex-
from
ex-
our divine, um, whatever you believe in, but our if you believe in God, or you just want to call it the universe, or you want to call it light, whatever,
or creator
or
source.
creator source, yes. And I live in an indigenous community, so there's a lot of, the indigenous call them their elders, and also creator. So yeah, whatever it is that you tap into, you can give it any kind of word. That's what that's what's created the system.
Yes.
So we just need to follow the system. So
Yeah.
Marie's got another great question here. What would an Akashic reading look like or include?
Oh, okay. Yes. So what I do when someone decides to work with me, and that for various reasons, people that are having a really difficult time or people that just want to learn more about all of it. It can be anybody, for any reason. Um, so what I do is I get their date of birth, their date of the date of birth, and then the their name at birth and any names they've used legally since birth,
Okay.
and then a picture of them. So I do it on Zoom because I record it, and I also have my worksheets that I work from. So when someone has a reading and clearing with me, they can have one foot in the other dimension and they don't have to take notes because they get everything that we talked about.
Beautiful.
And so in that, like I said, the soul groups, purpose, whether they had their force field of light up around them or not, which can be a very, very difficult place to be for people. So it's about taking away what doesn't belong to them, and a lot of times reinstating what they don't have because of earth school and things that have happened.
Or their upbringing, or they weren't nurtured in a certain way that they needed to be nurtured.
And they didn't have their force field of light up around them. That's why the Akashic work, it's from the other dimension, and it is what it is. And that's it. So we don't have to worry about something else because it's comprehensive. And whatever our soul wants us to know is what comes out. So it's who they are on a soul level, whether they have their force field of light or not, because that can be a very tough place to live in. And then just giving it language,
Yes.
being able for our mental body to
Right.
To assimilate what it is. But even people who've never heard of it before will say, I totally understand. And they've not ever heard of it before. And they're like, I get it.
Because it's who they are.
Exactly. It's not somebody else. That's what I tell them. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but we're giving the language to it.
Yes. And that is so important. I truly believe once we've got the language around it, then we can integrate that. And you call it the mental mind, but yeah, we can integrate that into what we are feeling in our soul, really, and then how we can integrate that into our conscious mind as well as our, because we know it's in our subconscious. So, but we can then relate it into the conscious mind so that we can make sense of it.
Exactly. And bring that together to realize it's not something else. Yeah.
So Marie's got a couple more great. She said, is it a combination of elements of astrology and numerology, etc.?
Good question, Marie. It's not. It's really not any of that. That's what we learn in the physical. So in the other dimension, it's not really, it's not astrology, or any of that, at least working with the records.
With the records, yeah. Because it's our soul records. So the records
it's on a soul level. So it's not those physical human things, but which is very, all of the information is wonderful, and we all start there, and we all, have those parts. And then we have the other part. And so the beauty of it is by bringing those together.
Yeah.
Because we're having a human experience, but we are in the quantum field,
Mhm.
in the other dimension.
We're
So
actually spiritual beings having a human
human
experience.
experience.
We often think it's the other way around.
I know.
So that was another big aha for me when I finally realized, oh, this makes way more sense.
Yes,
So Marie's got another great question. Are there symptoms that would indicate that the force field of light is not up for a person?
absolutely. Yes. That's why, the reading is wonderful and all of that information, it is great. And if we don't have our force field of light up around us, that's when people have had a very, very difficult life.
Hmm.
And so when I talk to them and I open up their records and they don't have their force field of light, I start asking them questions. What happened when you were a baby? Or
Mhm.
what happened when you were a young person? Because we have to, so our God-given energy, um, we have our God-given energy, and then we have the seven archangels loyal to Creator, which bring in the chakras, each of the chakras with that energy. And then we have um, a template to look at,
Hmm.
so that if somebody has had just a horrendous time in their life, that they didn't have their force field of light up around them. Our physical body needs to live with ease. If
Yeah,
our physical body isn't living with ease, we create dis-ease.
so true.
And
Yes.
that's what's happening. People are suffering right now. There's
Mhm.
8 billion people on the planet that are, and the majority of them are suffering because they don't know the other, the rest of the story. And most of them don't have their God-given energy up around their chakras. And that is very tough.
And I want you to explain that because we'll put this, you can connect with Sharon on her website. It's SharonCaren.com, and she's giving us a free chakra guide, which is also on her website. So yeah, I would like you to explain that a little bit. I understand chakras, but not everybody does. And I love we were talking before we went live, and I loved what you were saying about the how the chakras, how you were interpreting the chakras
How we
through
work with them.
how you work with them. Yeah.
Well, years ago, in the 70s, I learned everything that I could possibly learn. But at that time, it was kind of cliquish, and
Mm.
it wasn't for training or anything. And I would ask questions and they couldn't answer. They couldn't answer me. They'd just say, put a grounding cord down into the earth. And it's like, where do I get a grounding cord? I didn't know any of that.
Energetically, you had your own grounding cord.
Exactly. Yes. So, the important, the really, really important pieces are understanding the way the system works, and then how our physical body gets the energy from the Creator, the seven
Mm.
archangels loyal to Creator that bring in the energy into our body's nervous system.
Yes, so
So
important.
So
Mhm.
light beings, you usually keep their light up or whatever. Sometimes there's a mishap or sometimes something happens. But usually light beings are very strong in that. And when other people have been compromised, many, many, many of my clients, as soon as I start talking to them about their childhood or what happened, because they didn't have their force field of light up, and mainly because someone else needs it. And
Oh,
but that's what when someone's not in the light, what the dark ones do is they take the energy from the
Oh,
light
I see what you're,
ones.
yes. Hmm.
And so that all comes up in the reading. And that's what our soul wants us to know, so that we can move forward with that information and with that God-given energy. So, we're going to create dis-ease if if we don't understand that part. So
Mm.
it's not a fault. There's nothing wrong with people. It's just learning the system and the way and the language to speak about it.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's what I love. That's just the best for me, because as soon as I had my first Akashic reading, my mother died.
Oh,
And I was away and I could feel her really heavy in my space. And I knew something was wrong. And when I got home, so my mentor that I was going to have the reading with the week before, I said, something's wrong. Something's happened to my mother. This isn't a good thing. And she said, well, do it right away. Did my reading and clearing. I totally knew everything that she was talking about. And she was earthbound.
mm,
So she was so afraid she didn't have her force field up and she was earthbound. And that's a tough place. But then in my Akashic, my Akashic readings that I do, we usually find the people that get stuck,
ah,
because they'll come around and they'll help us find them.
yes. Because they don't want to
And
be stuck.
exactly. And wherever a soul is where it doesn't belong, that's hell.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what we want to do is everything we possibly can to get people back in their right place. So with their energy and with their force field of light up around them, so that they don't have to worry anymore. But what happens is a lot of times with children, um, they with children, they don't have any way of knowing about this energy or this whatever, and so they end up giving their energy away to the family members.
Hmm.
If the family members aren't, in the light, they're not getting their own energy, so they got to get it from somewhere, otherwise they can't survive.
Yes, very important, very important. Well, I'm just delighted that we were having this conversation today, and thank you for explaining the Akashic records and your work and how you work with people. So anybody who's listening to this afterwards, please reach out to Sharon on her website, and also we had a couple other people pop on, but I don't know that I don't see them anymore. But yeah, look for SharonCaren.com, and then the free chakra guide. That will be,
Yes.
that's your gift for being part of the podcast today.
Yes, for everyone. I love that document. It's just puts everything together, and I love to give it. Also, my name's Sharon Caren. It's SHARON, and Karen with a C, CAREN. So Sharon, yeah, and
Beautiful.
www.sharoncaren.com. And I would love for everyone to have the chakra guide, because it's my most favorite thing and I love to give it.
Well, I'm gonna when we leave the podcast today, I'm gonna go grab one for sure, because you can never know too much about your chakras and how they help support who we are, and what we do in the world.
Along with the seven archangels loyal to creator. It's
Yes,
all together.
absolutely. Okay, I think we have one more here. Oh, yes, Marie said thank you. She's already grabbed the document. So thanks, Marie,
Oh,
for doing that. Yay. Um, so yes, we want to just say, we have a big ask. We are really out to heal the world. We really want to give people hope, and we want to give people alternative ways that they can be well and stay well. We want to give people different opportunities, because we know our medical model that we've had for the last few years is really quite broken, in not in just Canada and the US, which are the two countries we're representing today,
Yeah.
but also around the world. I do speak to a number of holistic practitioners all over the world. So we really need to look at how we're going to change that paradigm and how we're going to infuse more of a holistic way of being well. And that's what our practitioners do. They get to the root cause. I believe one of the reasons that our medical model is not working anymore is because it's based on symptoms. And so dealing with just the symptoms, but not dealing with the root cause, of which, of course, to get to the root cause are the Akashic records. And so we definitely want people to be well and stay well on their health journey, because let's face it, we're all in a health journey. And so let's make it a proactive wellness society. We've been a reactive illness society for too long. We need to be more proactive at looking at our health and taking responsibility for our health. And so we do have a big vision, and we would ask you to share this podcast with your family and with your community. Let them know that the Healing Institute exists. And our motto is service with love. We are all about service. So we look forward to talking to you next Friday on Heal the World Show podcast. And thank you so
Amelia,
much, Sharon.
thank you so much for having me. It's just been wonderful. And I'm so grateful for all that you do. It just is changing the world. And that's what we're all here to do ultimately.
That's what we are here to do. That is our job. Yes. Thank you so much. And have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next week on Heal the World Show podcast.
Thank you.